Hello everyone, welcome to this Thermomix cooking class where we are focused on healthy, easy snacks for the whole family, or in particular for the children. And I've got a little bit of multitasking tips in there as well, and showing you all about the new Thermomix machine, the TM7, and some of the benefits that it can bring into your home, in particular for saving time and saving money and making things much easier for yourself in the kitchen. The Thermomix on our bench gets used multiple times a day. We actually have the older model as well, and both of them get used multiple times a day. So I'm also going to show you how you can place a purchase for your own Thermomix, and also some awesome deals this month, which include adding on a second bowl too, which makes it easier, as you'll see in some of my videos. As we go through, I've had to dry the bowl before I can do the next step and things like that. So having a second bowl is really handy as well. So my name is Danielle Tansey and I am a Thermomix consultant. I'm also a holistic therapist and wellness coach as well. So Thermomix fits in so beautifully with helping mums who are stressed and burnt out, and also who are wanting to improve their health and well-being, and that is what I'm all about. So this is my biggest focus, and this is why I have included Thermomix into my offerings. I'm also a mum of 4, so I know what it's like to be busy in the kitchen. My eldest is 14, nearly 15. I have a 12-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 18-month-old as well. So what I also love about the Thermomix, and you'll even see this in our cooking videos, is that the whole family can actually use the Thermomix to help out in the kitchen. And if that's something that you would love as well, whether it's your husband or older children, or even it being a little bit easier to include the younger kids in your cooking as well, because it's not quite as chaotic as having lots of different bowls and appliances on the bench. You just have the one and everything goes in there, or it might go into the oven as well. So let's get started. So like I already said, some of the things that the Thermomix can do for you is save time, money, health, and also inspire cooking. So whether it's inspiring you to try new things that you haven't tried before, so if you love cooking and there's been things that you're like a little bit scared to try, the Thermomix can be a really big help there. Or if you struggle for ideas or just struggle for the motivation to cook, the Thermomix makes it really easy as well. So this is what we're really focusing on today: is time, money, health, and inspiring you in the kitchen. To start off with, I just want to let you know right up front how you can get the Thermomix and how much the investment actually is. So it is $2,649 to purchase the Thermomix TM7 up front as a one payment. You can choose from a few different options to invest in that as well. So you can choose just to pay up front. There's Afterpay, Zip Pay, or Hum Pay payment plan options. They all depend on eligibility though, obviously. There is also the option to earn your Thermomix for free. So that one has a $399 deposit, and then if you make 6 sales, you actually get that deposit back and your Thermomix is yours for free. That's in 90 days. I'm pretty sure all the terms and conditions are there, and we can chat about that as well. That each sale that you make actually takes a amount off your Thermomix total, and you can also then finish the payment with one of these payment options as well. So they are your options of being able to purchase a Thermomix today or from this demonstration. So let's get started straight up with a recipe. So the first recipe that I want to show you is fried rice. Now this is a fried rice recipe that didn't need the fry pan as well. So you can actually do this a few different ways. So you could cook the rice and the vegetables in the Thermomix and then put it all and the meat and put it all together in the fry pan to do the frying at the end. But I actually found this one it tastes just as good as doing it in the fry pan, and it's less dishes, okay? So what this recipe is going to show you is some of the features of the Thermomix machine, and that is how to saute, chop, steam, and use the rice cooker. So I'm just going to play this video now. It is a little bit hard to see the screen when I'm recording it, sorry. So to start off with, what I'm doing here in this video is actually using the manual mode. And I'm using the manual mode to chop up, I think it showed it at the start, but I'm using it to chop up the bacon and shallots that I've put in there. The very start of the video did show it, but it went too quick. So what I'm doing is mixing that, and then I'm going to cook that as well. So it's going to saute it off, which is what it's doing now. So you can see that the light's turned red. That means that it is cooking, and that's all cooked, scraped out. So with this new Thermomix TM7, it has a new spatula as well. So you can see that it's longer and thinner than the previous models, and it doesn't have that big round disc on it. So it's much easier to maneuver around the bowl and get in around the blades. We do also make sure we go use it on the blunt side of the blades. I can't remember. I think it's clockwise. Anyway, you can see the blunt side and the sharp side of the blades. You make sure that you go with the blunt side so you don't, because it is quite a soft, silicone sort of spatula, you don't want to go cutting it on your blades. But it is really good for scraping out the bowl really well. You do see me go a little bit against the blade there, but you may cut it if you do that. So that is something to be aware of. You can buy replacement ones as well. So you can see the little diagrams here on the Thermomix as well. And these really help you as you go along, particularly if you've got children cooking with you too. So now what I've done is I've gone into the recipe. The reason I did the bacon and shallots separately was just simply because the recipe that I actually chose didn't have that step that I wanted in there. So I went and did a manual cook for that as well, purely because I didn't have some of the ingredients in there. Or I think the recipe I used, the meats were already pre-cooked. So I've gone in and done that there instead. Actually, I think it used ham from memory. And then it heats it up in the steamer later. So I do put it back in there. We have also already pre-cooked some steak at this point as well. We did that on the fry pan because we were going to eat it as steak, and then we decided to make it into a fried rice instead. Oh no, that's not going to let me go forward again. Oh, why is it doing that? That's not ideal. I'm going to pause the recording for a moment. Okay, and you can see the bowl that I've just put that into was actually a Thermomix thermo server. Now this particular bowl is awesome. It keeps the food warm or cold for several hours, and this is actually a host gift only. So you can earn that as a host gift by hosting your own demonstration with a couple of friends. You can either receive it discounted or you can earn it for free if there is a purchase from your demonstration as well. Okay, so what I'm doing here now is adding in some eggs. So this is a fried rice that had some eggs. If you have egg allergies or you don't want to add eggs to it, you don't have to. You could actually skip on to the next step with this one as well. So as I'm going, I'm ticking off ingredients on the ingredients list. I will show you the screen a little bit later. It's a bit hard to see on this one. But you tick it all off, you click next, and it gives you the next step. And then you can also press play when it has something. So that is just mixed up the eggs and the pepper, and not bacon, and salt. And now I'm putting it into the Varoma. So the Varoma is a basket that sits on top, and you steam things in there. So you can actually do omelette, kind of like what I'm doing now. You could add other things into it for just an omelette to eat. But yeah, an omelette in some baking paper up the top. You can also do whole, like sunny side up eggs and things like that in there as well. So now the step that I'm doing is a pre-clean. So you can pre-clean the Thermomix bowl in between steps or in between recipes as well. Now I always go from like the sweet or non-cooked meals into a meat or cooked meal or fatty meal or something like that. So I don't go the other way around. I will do a pre-clean and then I'll actually wash the bowl, give it a good scrub, or I do it that way in order of what I'm cooking. So I did a pre-clean and now I'm on to adding garlic, and I did add shallots. I can't remember. I don't think the recipe had that, but I've added that in anyway. And then some sesame oil has gone in. It is weighing everything as I go, so you might be able to see the little jug there. It starts to like fill up here, and you can see the scales are up the top here. And then as I've ticked it off, it's telling me, and press next, it's telling me to put the lid on, and then I press play and it's blitzing that up for me. All blitzed up, and then the next step is going to be to saute that. You can see I'm doing this mostly one-handed at this point in time. There is a little baby on my hip. The eggs get hard when they do that though. So that has just sauteed the no, I think the saute is the next one. Now I'm chucking in some vegetables. So what I had on hand was some cabbage and carrots. And then later on, I'm going to pop in some peas and corn as well. So whatever veggies you want to pop in there, you just pop in on this step. Just being mindful that carrot takes more to cut up than something like cabbage. So you could see my size differences between my pieces there. And it actually almost looks like a coleslaw. So I could turn this into a coleslaw. And now we're taking the egg off the top of the varoma. And I'm popping in those garlic, carrots and the vegetables that I had all chopped up in there with the sesame oil, and it's going into the steamer on top, into the varoma on top. Really important when we do put things in the varoma is to make sure there are some holes for the steam to come up through. Particularly with the TM7, there has to be a hole in the middle because the top of the lid is quite small and there's only a small space for the steam to come up. So you want to make sure it's coming up through that center pit in particular. So I'm popping in some stock and some water. With the Thermomix, you can actually make your own stock pastes. So you can make beef, chicken, or vegetable stock paste, and then you can add that in instead of using pre-bought stock. You can make liquid stock in there as well. For what I had on hand was just a supermarket bought one, so I've just used that for the purpose of this recipe. And now I'm weighing in the rice into the steamer basket, which sits inside the Thermomix. So this one's, we can double steam. Okay, so we're going to be steaming the rice and we're going to be steaming the vegetables and the eggs on top as well. So that pops on, following all of the instructions that are on the screen. You'll see in one of my later recipes, my husband's cooking one and my 12-year-old son cooking another one as well. All they have to do is follow the instructions. If you want them to follow the instructions but have some notes in there for them, there's actually a section where you can add your own notes. You can add that from your phone in the app as well. And then that way, anyone who's doing the recipe can go down and read the notes and make sure they apply the alterations that you want to make. So we're still going there. So I really thought I was going to be able to make this go a little bit faster, but I'm not going to be able to. So I think the egg needed a little bit longer, so we're going to keep going. Or did I do another step? I wasn't watching, I was talking. So anyway, with this varoma, there's heaps of things that we can do in there. We love, one of our rotational recipes is bayo buns, pork bayo buns. And what did we try the other night? We did a beef stew with dumplings. So the dumplings, little bread dumplings, go up in top while the stew cooks away in the bottom. That was absolutely delicious and has been asked to be a regular occurring meal, which is great. And this fried rice was really loved as well. I think my 8-year-old goes, oh no, she said it about the carbonara. So there's a carbonara right at the end of the demo as a little bonus recipe. So I've just added in there the meat. So we had steak and we had some bacon, and I added the peas and corn in as well. And then the egg will finish cooking off as that all steams. And I think that's done. Now, I think this is my husband doing this step here. So we've been able to chop and change. So I've probably been doing something with the 18-month-old. The spatula pulls out the rice, the steam basket, which is really cool. No burning the hands there. So the rice has gone into the thermoserver bowl. And so I've been able to just get my husband to go, right, can you just do the next steps for me, please? Because I'm sitting down feeding. So he's been able to do that. Now just using the spatula to cut up those eggs into smaller pieces to pop on in. So the other thing with this spatula is you can see a little groove near the base of like the blade area. That is like a little spoon rest. So you can turn it over and sit it on your bench that way. And that helps reduce the mess that you make on your bench. You can also stand it on its end. So the end of the handle is flat, and you can use that to stand it upwards as well. The lid also does rest on the bowl, the edge of the bowl, but we always forget to do it because the other models haven't done it. So I haven't actually demonstrated that into the recipe. So now everything is getting mixed in together. We did actually have to change bowls because the thermoserver wasn't quite big enough for this batch. But we were able to use the thermoserver for the leftovers, and it went into the fridge for lunch the following day. And I'll show you how we heated that up later in the Thermomix as well. So we do not own a kettle anymore. Our Thermomixes are now our kettle. We don't own a microwave, and we haven't for years, but now we mostly, whatever we can gets heated up in the Thermomix as well. So this particular recipe, you mix in some soy sauce and oyster sauce at the end, and you just mix it around in the bowl, and it is ready to go. And it was absolutely delicious. Everyone ate it, and for lunch the next day as well. So this is a really handy meal, whether you're doing it as sides or as you can have it as mains, depending on what you add into it. Because we added the steak and the bacon, it was enough for everyone to just be the main dish. So that all gets mixed around. So the spatula is great for mixing. I've used it for serving out the muffin recipe later on and things like that too. So just all ticking off, checking that everything's done, and then it all finished. So it does have on the cookie dough recipes, it has the time that it takes to cook and prepare as well. So that helps you with your planning. All right, so that's the fried rice all done in the Thermomix. Now what I'm showing you here is the new TM7. So it's a little bit different to the previous jugs. This one is in an insulated cover, and the blade locking is just that slide across, nice and easy, no more trying to get your hand right under the bowl, and the blade just lifts out, and the inside part of the bowl comes out for cleaning as well. So that part can go through the dishwasher if you choose. We don't put ours through at the moment because we're on bore water. We don't want it to wreck the what are they called? The little terminals that plug into the machine. But you can pop them into the dishwasher. You just have to take them out of the insulated cover. Now to lock it back in, you just simply push it across, ensure it is all the way across and that the blade is locked in, because if it's not locked in properly, you're going to leak all over the machine. And if you put liquid in there, we don't want to do that, or you'll wreck it if you try and turn it on. So always just ensuring that. The lid is a little bit different. And the locking mechanism for the lid, we don't have the arms up the top anymore with the big bulky sides. So it has a locking mechanism in that insulated cover that locks the lid in. I will just pause it for a moment. One thing you'll notice as we're cooking, you may notice our little cap falls off. That's purely because we have one of the first batches of the TM7s, and I just need to get a replacement ring. The newer models have now got that replacement ring already in them, so they won't fall off like mine does throughout some of these recipes. That's just one of those things on my to-do list I keep forgetting to get sorted, and that's just a matter of contacting the Thermomix customer service, which are really great. They are very helpful. So now I'm just going to show you the screen. So it is a bigger screen. I'm pretty sure it's 10-inch from memory. It is very responsive, even if you've got wet fingers or there's a bit of water on there, unlike the previous models. You can customize your home screen as well. So I've got mine set up to see a bit of our plan, what we're cooking, and also some of our favorite modes on the side. So like the manual mode, kettle and clean, and I can't remember what else I've got there, something else that we use a lot. You can scroll down the screen and see recently cooked. You can create your own recipes. You can do that on the computer or on the phone. I think you can do it on the Thermomix as well. I haven't tried. And pop in your own recipes in there as well. So if you've got some favorites, family favorites, or things like that, or something that isn't a Thermomix recipe, you can turn it into that and have it saved in there as well if you have a Cookie Do account. So now I'm showing you the different I think that's finished, but there's manual mode that you can do. So you saw me use that at the start of the fried rice. And then you've also got some preset things in here. So this is where you'll find like kettle, an egg boiler, there's like saute and things like that in there. And then I scrolled down and showed here, you've got preset things for different types of food. So that top one there you can see is apples, and you can go into that and you can see it's got diced apples or steamed apples. And so you can go into diced apples, put the weight of the apples that you've got in there. It has tips in there to help you as well. And you can it'll just blitz that based on the weight. So you don't have to try and guess how long to do it for and what speed to do it for. It'll set that for you just based on the weight of the apples that you've put in there, because there's some preset modes, which is very helpful if you're wanting to do a recipe that's not in Cookie Do, or utilize those manual modes a little bit more, but taking out some of that guesswork of, you don't want to end up with mushed apples, right? We want the diced apples. What else is on here? So we've also got the quiet motor. So one of the benefits of the new Thermomix is actually, I'm just going to go here to this one. So these are some of the highlights. It has a silent motor. So it's not going to be silent when you're blitzing something. You're going to hear a bit of a whir and you're going to hear the ingredients moving around. But the motor itself, particularly when it's in the mixing modes between 1 and 3, even the 4, depending on what's in there, is quiet. I actually have to check, that light that's on. You have a green light and it's on if it's turned on, or it's red if it's heating and cooking. I actually have to check that all the time, because I'm like, is it on? Did I forget to start it? Or is it finished and we've forgotten it? Didn't hear the song. So that is one of my favorite things, because I do not love the noise that it makes sometimes. And then we've got, so the insulated bowl. So this is also something really cool about this one. And I did mention that, but it's not hot to touch on the outside. And so when I was cooking with my 18-month-old, she can't really burn herself unless she puts her hand inside the bowl. And I can also safely and confidently have her next to me while I'm cooking with the Thermomix, because there's nothing's going to splatter on her or anything like that as well. So this is one reason, and one of the many, many, many reasons that I love cooking things in the TM7. What else we got there? The Varoma that goes on top. So this has been a feature of all of the Thermomix models, but this particular one, it has a bigger capacity. So it's not really bigger. They've just changed the shape and the design of it a little bit so that it fits more in it. So you can fit a whole chook in there much easier, and it's quite flat on the bottom and not as oval shaped. So when you put like muffin things in there or doing breads, you can fit more in that bottom layer as well as the top, because it's more of a rectangle shape than an oval shape. Also built into the base of the Thermomix is a inbuilt slider. So in some of the videos, you might see me moving it around. Just 2 hands, you pick up the front of the machine, so that you're not moving it on the scales, because 2 of the feet are the scales. You pick it up with two hands or one hand from under the center if you can balance it right. And you can just move it around on that back foot so you can drag it across the bench safely without needing to pick it all the way up because it's quite heavy, and also not having to move it around on those scales and damaging them. So that's some of the benefits to the new model compared to the previous ones. And we can also cook bigger quantities. So you can cook up to 500 grams of rice. You may find you need to stir it a little bit in there, though. I do find the very top of it doesn't steam very well if you do too much. And then you can also serve, so what's that say, 6 servings of Laska. These are recipes that I don't really cook in those names, but we do enough for a family of 6, given that the youngest is 18 months, but she does eat, and we do freeze some of the portion for her as well. You can do the whole chook in the top as well. So it is a 2.2 litre mixing bowl and 45% bigger Varoma on top. So it is big family friendly, or batch cooking family friendly as well. So cookie dough, you may have heard me mention the word cookie dough. What is it? It is an additional purchase, but you do get a free trial when you can actually sign up for that even without having a machine. But when you get a machine, you can get a free trial to see if you like it. And then it's just an annual subscription. And I can tell you right now, it is so worth it, particularly if you're wanting other people to be able to use the machine. So even if you love cooking and you've got all your favorite recipes, you can, one, put them in here if you want to, or you can also have the rest of the family easily help out with the cooking by just simply following the guided recipes. So you can access it from your phone. You can access it from the machine itself. You can also access it from your computer. You can have your phone, your husband's phone, signed into the same Cookie Dough account, and he can go and find something that he wants you to cook, or you can find something you want him to cook, or he can jump on and find something he can cook himself. And I know this because my husband does it. And my kids do it as well. So we even use, I'll let it play a little bit. So we even go through, we have a very fussy eater. So we go through and we show her some like snack recipes that she might be able to choose. And she can go through and go, yeah, Mum, I like the look of this. And I can look at it. Do I like the ingredients? Okay, let's add it to your, so I have a collection, a recipe collection, so like a recipe book that I've created that is for my daughter. And they're recipes that she can try. I try and make them high protein, low sugar, things like that. So what did I click on here? This was a granola, not the one that I ended up making, I don't think. So I've searched granola, and these are all the different granolas. Here's a chocolate one. You can see the ingredients there. I didn't go with that one either. I have done that one before though. And then I'm going to type in the granola cups, which is something that we used. I've cooked later on as well. So I didn't 100% follow this granola recipe. I used the simple granola recipe that was on that list. And then I've used that as the base instead of adding in all the granola ingredients there. And then there is a little bit of a fail with my cups recipe. So I'm going to be completely honest about that because there's a recipe I hadn't made before. But they've still worked out well enough. But I know now to do one of these seed butters that I'm showing you here. So or you could do a nut butter as well. So you've got seed butters or nut butters. But if you need it to be school friendly, seed butters are good because they don't have the nuts in them. And then it's even got the chocolate recipe there too for you to put on top. You could make a raw chocolate recipe instead of the recipe that is on there. So you can add it to your cook list for the day, or you can add it to your weekly meal planning as well. You can access that from the phone, the computer, or on the device. You can also bookmark it. You can also add it to the shopping list, and you can also add it to a collection. So you can have all different collections. I really need to go through and clean mine out. As you can see, there's lots of different ones there. So I just added that to my brekkie collection. You can also share it. So if you've got other people who have a Thermomix, you can share a recipe with them and they can access and add it to their collections and things like that too. So if you want the links to the recipes that I have got in here too, just let me know and I can send those through to you. And this is the meal planner week here. So you can see that's what I've got planned on for today. And then again, anyone in your family can go to that and just access all of that from there, from the machine, from their own phone, or from the computer, whichever one. So you can search and connect them all through different devices. You can add them to your meal plan, you can add them to your shopping list and your created recipes and things like that too. You can even just search and look for inspiration. So I really love the cookie dough because it makes it just so easy, and there's like over 100,000 recipes on there too. Okay, so next, just a little bit of how the Thermomix can save you time and money, particularly when people go, well, the purchase price, how's that going to save me money? So it saves you money because each week or fortnight, however you shop, it saves and reduces how much you're spending because you can buy ingredients as opposed to the finished product. So each shop you can reduce how much you spend. This one here, so these are out of a couple of magazines that Thermomix have done specifically for these themes. So I could send those through to you as well if you would like. But people save on appliances, on their weekly budget, on takeaway, particularly if you're trying to do healthy meals, reducing additives, reducing sugar, things like that. You can make so many different, or allergy friendly, you can make so many different things from scratch instead of having to buy them, like nut milks if you're doing that sort of thing, nut butters. You can make your own normal butter, which then has your butter and your buttermilk ingredients for things. There's so many different things. And then like the takeaway. So for example, we make pork mayo buns a lot. We'll make this one's shut, it's fine. So there's lots of different ways. So like Indian, butter chicken, things like that, or korma, whatever your favorite takeaways are. Tacos, nachos, you can even make your own soft tacos or corn chips, rice crackers, all sorts of things. You can literally make everything from scratch with a Thermomix, which is really cool. And then saving time. So there's so many recipes in the guided cooking with the cookie dough that take less than 15 minutes. Most of the recipes that I've shown you in here, I think, had like a 20-minute or so cook time. And also just like the fact that it cleans itself and that sort of thing. Not as many dishes needed. So this is a list that I can send you as well. There's also a list I can send you that gives a bit of a breakdown of price. I'm not sure if you're able to see it. I can't see it on my screen big enough. I thought I was going to be able to. But it's got like some comparative prices for different everyday things that you can buy at the shop but then make from scratch with the Thermomix, and showing you the savings there. Okay, so this is one of our most rotated recipes at home, and it is banana muffins. So we're talking all about snacks. So I've brought the recipe up, I've pressed start. It's telling me to preheat the oven and line a tray, muffin trays, things like that. And then I'm weighing in the ingredients, ticking them off as I go. Or if I get the ingredient weight right, it actually will tick it off for me. A little bit tricky because we live in a bus. If people are moving around, our scales don't sit still enough sometimes, but you definitely can. So a tip with your bananas, if you're doing banana muffins or smoothies or anything else with bananas, and if you're like me, I often look at my bananas and go, right, I need to chop them up and I need to freeze them, or I need to use them, but I won't get the time to do so, and they'll turn and I'll have to throw them out. So what I started doing, I think my mother-in-law told me this actually, is just pop the bananas in the freezer with the skin on, and you just cut the skin off later and then chop them up and use them in your cooking. So that has, it takes up a little bit of room in my freezer sometimes when we've got so many in there, but it saved me so much wastage of throwing my bananas out, because I can just go, right, they're too ripe, I'm just going to pop them in the freezer and then we've got them there. I don't have to worry about having the time to peel and cut them up and put them in a container, or use them straight away. So again, I'm ticking off the recipe. It's just all your normal ingredients like flour. This is not a gluten-free recipe, but you can just substitute a gluten-free flour for the plain flour that is in this, and it works perfectly fine. We were gluten-free up until last year, and I've done this with all different recipes, just simply replacing gluten-free flour with, particularly if it's a mixed, so like a plain flour mix. If you're using things like excuse me, buckwheat flour and things like that, you might have to have a play with what ratio would work, or there are many recipes on there that use those type of ingredients as well in the cookie dough. So you just have a look around in the different collections. So this recipe is really easy. It's literally just weighing everything in, it mixes it, and then it's actually ready to put into the muffin tins and put into the varoma. I think that's it. So lid goes on and away it goes. I think I did have to do one extra one, and that's probably because my bananas were frozen. So just a little less liquidy to straight up. And I scrape down the sides and just pop it, repeat it. So you'll see me do that in a second. Scrape the sides down. And I've seen that not quite all the flour was mixed through. So I've popped the lid back on. And it just normally has a repeat button. But if you do go to the next step, you can just go back to the last one. It has 3 little dots, and you can click on that and go set as current step, and it'll just reset that as the current step for you. And then that was all finished. So what I've also done while I was cooking these, so you can see me there lifting it one hand at the front, dragging it by that back slider. And then I've got my silicone muffin patties. There are some Thermomix things that you can use as well that you can buy from the mix shop, or some of them you can even earn as a host gift. And then just filling up those ready to pop in and steam them. We love doing muffins and banana loaf. There's a delicious muffin loaf on there as well that's got blueberries sprinkled on top. And that is another one that we rotate all the time. And we don't even cook them in the oven anymore because they have such a nice moist finish with the steamed option instead, and it doesn't heat the bus up, and it uses actually less power. So we're off grid as well. So the Thermomix uses less power than the oven as well. And I don't have to worry about my 18-month-old pulling the oven open either, because she's very interested in the oven when it's on. What else was I going to say about that? The steam. So even with the gluten-free, you know how it can be quite dry sometimes. The steam actually works beautifully for that. It doesn't go quite as fluffy as normal flour in the steaming or as it does in the oven, but it is more moist. So it's actually much more pleasant to eat. And as gluten-free ones, they don't dry out as fast either. Whereas gluten-free is often nice when you very first eat it. So the other thing I'm going to be doing here is I give the bowl a clean. As you can see, I have the little one on me there. I think I grabbed my 14-year-old just to help me get that last little bit out, because my little one there was popping her head in front of the bowl and I couldn't see what I was doing to get those last bits out. So to actually get that in there, I've just grabbed my 14-year-old to do that for me. And I'm filling the bowl up. Sorry, that's loading. I'm just putting some water into that bowl so that it can do a pre-clean. I do recommend doing this. I think it does tell you to do it as well in a batter recipe like this before you go and do some steaming, because you can actually keep cooking the batter on the base, which can burn. The blades don't spin enough to kind of like clean it as it steams. So you do have to do that part. But I just do the quick clean. I don't do a full clean. So it has different cleaning functions on there. Universal is our usual one that we'll use, or we'll do a quick clean. Why has this stopped working? Okay, for some reason, my the video of the recipe keeps freezing in the one spot. But I'm going to just keep going anyway. It's just playing again from the start at the moment. Basically, what I was talking about was the cleaning modes. So the pre-cleaning modes that you can use. There's a quick mode, which if it's just like I'm doing this one where I was doing the muffin batter and then I was going to steam on top the same recipe, I've just used that. Or if I've done, like in the later one when I do the bliss balls, I use that one too because it's just in the bowl, and I was making granola straight after it, so it didn't matter. I just needed to get the build up off it. And then it doesn't heat on that one. It just basically swishes everything around to rinse everything off. Then you've got the universal mode, which heats, and we use that one most of the time. It works for most things. If it's anything really fatty, there's a fat mode on there. There's a caramel mode on there if you do sugar work or making caramel. Also has a dough mode and a browning mode as well, because the browning tends to burn a little bit on the bottom. So that one cleans that a little bit better for that. So I'll just see whether this happens to, I don't think it'll make it to by the time I finish it, but in what I actually show you in this video, and I really wish it would play, I will pop it through separately for you as well so you can see. But as you can see on my notes over the side here, what I end up doing while the muffins are cooking on top, I've actually put a few eggs, clean eggs, into the steamer basket in the bowl. So what I cooked the rice in for the fried rice recipe, I think I've just put like 6 eggs in there, and I've popped the banana muffins on top of the lid. So when we do the varoma, same as the fried rice when we were doing the stuff in the top, the lid goes on without the little cap, and the top varoma basket sits on top. And then that sits there steaming away. I reduced the cook time because I cook eggs this way a lot. The cook time of the eggs is 14 minutes for boiled eggs, hard-boiled eggs. So I put it down from, I think it's a 20-minute cook, down to 14 minutes to cook my eggs. And I've taken my eggs out and I've continued doing the rest of the cook time to complete cooking the muffins. And I think I quite often find I do need to add about another 5 minutes. Maybe I've got more batter in my little muffin cases or something, I'm not sure. But sometimes I do have to add a little bit extra time. And you can tell that it's always going to come out quite moist with these muffins because it is a moist, I think the problem is just I've got really bad cloud coverage right now. Yeah, and then while they were cooking, what I then did in my other Thermomix, so in the second machine, I was reheating the fried rice in the varoma. So you could still do that in this one. You don't have to have the second machine. You just can't do it at the same time, obviously. But I just did it in the varoma on top, put it all in there, made sure there were some holes, some water in the bottom to cover the blades. And then that heated, I think I put that on for 20 minutes to reheat the fried rice for our lunch for that day. And then while it was also cooking, I popped 2 chooks, all with 18-month-old in the carrier on me, popped 2 chooks into the slow cooker for dinner. So it took me about half an hour to do all of this together. So the Thermomix frees you up while it's cooking something without needing your attention because it tells you when it's done. I was doing these other things as well. So if you have a think about what you could do in a 20-minute cook time and not have to worry about coming back to remember the oven because this sings at you when it's finished, or on your phone, on the app, it will sing at you as well if your sound's on, but you can pull down the top in your notifications. It's got the countdown as well. So you could go and hang out washing, you could go and bath a child, all sorts of different things that you can go and do while that's cooking. Or you could sit down and have a cup of coffee or a tea, or often I go and sit down and do some study or I do a bit of work in that time while my stuff's cooking. So they're just some of the things that I do end up showing you in this, but that video is just not going to play for me. So I'll pop that video separately in for you guys. So for the March customer offers, each month there are different offers around. You never know what they're going to be for the following month. So it's always the best time to take advantage of what is on offer now, because you never know what's coming or when an offer like this will come again. So right now there are 3 different customer offers for when you purchase a new Thermomix TM7. If you have a previous Thermomix model, you can actually trade it up for getting money off the new TM7. So I have a full flyer for that if you would like to know that information. There's a different amount off for the different models. Obviously the TM6, the newer, older model, is the bigger amount off. There are some things that go with that though. You have to all your pieces have to go with it as well. There is also the option to add on a second bowl. So second bowls are always handy if you're cooking lots of different things. You don't have to dry it in between. You don't have to clean it in between each step. So you could, go from grating cheese to cooking the pasta. So instead of having to clean it in between, if you don't clean it in between, that cheese actually bakes onto the bottom of the bowl. Can also block up the blades or burn onto the bottom of your bowl. So you don't want to do that because that can damage the bowl. So there is the second bowl option. Next best thing to having a second machine, and only for $199 as you add it on to your purchase. There is also, and that can be added on with the same payment options as well. There is also the extended warranty introduction deal. I didn't put it on here. I think it's $99 for extended warranty, and that includes a blade replacement when at your choice. So you can decide, I think it's 3 months. I've got the full flyer, but I'm pretty sure it was 3 years. And in that time, you can choose to get a blade replacement. So a blade replacement actually costs more than the $99 for this coverage. So they are the options available to you right now until the 31st of March. After that, it'll be a new deal. So if you want those, this is the time to buy it, and let me know if you want more information. Okay, let's see if this video is going to play for me. So this is some bliss balls. What you're going to see in this recipe is my husband making some bliss balls. Now, we make this recipe all the time, but we normally skip this first part, which is actually making a coconut butter. We didn't do this very successfully in this particular cook, and we didn't have time to retry it. I think it was our coconut that was the problem. It wasn't the Thermomix, it was our coconut. I think it was too dry to make coconut butter from. So, and I've never made coconut butter before. So it would be an experiment that I need to do to try either different types of coconut, or maybe soaking the coconut first, maybe more oil than what we put in. I'm not too sure, but it didn't quite work out, but it still worked out really nice in the bliss balls. It just didn't end up a liquid like it was supposed to. So you'll see, I think I make it go through really quickly. It takes him to quite a few goes to try and get it right, but it didn't work out. But what I really love about the cookie dough is you can adapt things. So this recipe is a recipe we literally cook all the time. It's called macadamia protein balls, and I use this one because it's just got the simple ingredients. So it's got the dates, the nuts, coconut oil, the coconut, and I think that's it. And then we add in cacao powder. So you can adapt it. You can add different nuts. We don't use macadamia nuts because often they're too expensive, to be honest with you. In this recipe, we use almonds, and we use cashews. And what I will do, if I don't make this coconut butter before it, which I normally don't, I normally just replace it in the recipe with some coconut and some coconut oil. The coconut oil brings it together. As you can see, he was still trying to get it and it just didn't work. So what this recipe shows you is the blitzing and the milling. It chops, and it's got a really high power motor. So you can actually pop in the dates whole. You don't have to chop them into smaller pieces. You just take the pits out, or buy ones that are already pitted. And so he's just given up here. It really didn't work for us. So I think it was our coconut. I had the macro flakes. So I don't know if it was just too dry. I don't know what it was, but it didn't work for us anyway. And then also using the spatula is a really good example in this one, because taking it, really getting when it gets to the bliss ball part, it really takes a bit to scrape that off, because it cakes on a little bit at the bottom. So yeah, so he's putting the nuts in there now. One piece of advice when you're grating cheese or blitzing the nuts, just cover your ears. Cover the little one's ears, because it is quite loud the first couple of seconds. So definitely a good idea just to cover those ears. So nuts are something that can be hard to blitz up without either over chopping them, or, which in this recipe maybe we should have done the almonds and then done the cashews, but it doesn't really matter for this one. But you see me do that in the granola as well. I should have put the almonds in, done a chop, and then done the rest of them, because the almonds take a bit more to get chopped up. So that's nicely milled up there. It's not a chunky recipe, this one. It is quite a smooth bliss ball. And yeah, I quite like that. I don't know. I don't mind them both, but I think my children sometimes prefer them. So James has already pitted those dates and he's popping those in now. And you can see the bowl green filling up there, and that's it filling up with the weight, but the total weight as well, I think, usually. So when you get a bowl that's really full, it's going to show you where it's filled up to, because you do have a maximum point that you can fill it. And you could see just there, the green line for the dates, it goes down and marks itself off because he had the correct weight in there. So that is really handy, because you can put your ingredients in, okay, yep, the weight's right. It's going to tick it off for you while you grab the next ingredient. Quite handy. This one also had some vanilla in there, so that's all gone in. And now it's all going to be, what's he got to do? He's got to add in some of that coconut butter. That didn't work. And he didn't read the ingredient that properly. So this is also where it's Henny's gone, oh, I didn't need that much in there. And so he's been able to take it out and go back to the weight there. I forgot that was in this video. Interesting when someone else does it for you and you put the video in here. Anyway, so he's just taken that out, got it to the right weight. And we did end up adding a little bit more coconut oil to bring it together as well, because our coconut butter didn't end up coconut butter. But the Thermomix is going to blitz that quite easily when we get there. Even when it's working at the high speed like it does for this, the noise is nowhere near as high as when it is. So this is adding in the cacao powder, because it's not in the ingredients. So we've just added that in there because my kids like it to be a chocolate one. So even if you forget to put that top back on at a high power, most things, unless it's maybe a liquid, they still don't really come out the top anyway, which is really handy. So that's making up the bliss balls now. And it wasn't too loud when it was doing it either. I've taken all the sound off of this because I didn't bother telling anyone to be quiet while it was being done. Right, so you're going to see that consistency in a minute. He tests it out. We did find it was just a little bit too dry, so that's when we added the coconut oil in. There we go. I was going to say something else, but I've forgotten now. So with this bliss ball recipe, there's a lot of different recipes like this on the cookie dough, so you can choose which ones you want to try. We've just decided to use this one because it's such a simple ingredient list, and we can just adapt it to what we want. You can get some that have got oats in it as well, that have got different dried fruit in them. yeah, there's lots of different ones. So you can have a search through those and have a play, and then go from there. So it's just adding in that coconut oil, and then they're all good to go, and I can start rolling them. I'll show you a little bit of the rolling and then we'll move on. And then in between this recipe and the next one, I do the quick clean. So where it just rinses the bowl, it doesn't have to have the dishwashing liquid or heating in there before I go on and make the granola. You must have forgot to press play. So you can see that even my husband, who had never made bliss balls before, other than our little bit of fail with the coconut butter, which I had never made before either, so I couldn't even give him any tips or tell him what to do. But we worked it all out and he did it all himself. And then I've just rolled them at the end, which is coming up. So what I really love about the Thermomix is that we can reduce the sugar that's in our food. So I forgot to mention, when I did the banana muffins before, I only did half the sugar in it. When my daughter does it, she does do the full sugar, because there's actually 2 types of sugar that's meant to be in it, but we just use coconut sugar. So we just replace the types of sweeteners that we use for that. Sorry, I should have cut that bit out of the video. I was trying to make these a bit quicker because it was taking me forever to cut bits out. Yeah, so you can reduce the sugar in recipes. When my daughter makes it, she does do the amount of the 2 sugars, which I think is 60 grams of each. And she does that of the coconut sugar, and hers end up a bit fluffier. So coconut sugar is actually really good for making cakes fluffy. It kind of makes all the bubble, like it expand into more bubbles. So you could do the full amount with the coconut sugar and have it more fluffier. This recipe, because it states it didn't have any added sweetener to it, and everyone still loves it anyway. They're quite coconutty with that coconut butter in it, and sweet enough with the dates anyway. If you're someone who's reducing sugar for yourself or for kids and you haven't, it's kind of something that's new, and you still want that bit more sweetness, you could add something like some maple syrup or some honey to this, but you don't really need to, unless you're still kind of getting your palate used to having less sugar. And so I love that you can not have additives added in. So these taste better than ones that you can buy at the shop. Even if the ones at the shop don't have the additives in it, they're drier. They're not as nice as they are when you make them at home. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at that. You can see those balls there. I'm going to do kind of try and roll it in the failed coconut butter, because it's almost like I can't say the word right now, of coconut, rolling it in coconut. So you can roll them in coconut, or you can roll them in chia seeds, or you could roll them in, like, I don't know, raspberry powder or something like that, whatever you want to roll them in. So that is the finished bliss balls that went in the fridge. They never last very long in our household. So personalizing the screen with the TM7. So it's got the power button down the bottom. I think I already showed this. I did. I've already showed that one. The locking mechanism. Yeah, no, I already showed that one. Okay, we will skip that one and go on to the granola. So this is a really quick recipe. Now, because I'd done that quick clean in between, this is where the second bowl is really handy. You wouldn't have to do that. You could just sit it aside and do it later. I've had to dry this before I do this recipe, because it's got dry ingredients. Initially, you don't want it to stick to the bowl and everything. So this particular granola recipe is going to show you how you can chop nuts. Me using that slider bar, the slider foot at the back, so remembering 2 hands at the front or 1 hand right through the center, and you can pick it up and move it around on that back foot, so you're not damaging the scales. Forgetting my words. Okay, so I'm going to go to my... Okay, so I'm just showing you a little bit here. These are like recently cooked meals that we've done. So they're all recipes that we do. So quite regularly we'll have the same, we'll make the same things so that we don't have to go searching for them. They're all in our recently cooked usually. Then I've gone into my meal planner and found the granola, which is the simple granola recipe. And that is just simply, it was just nuts, some dried fruit and seeds if you want, and then some, what are they called, oats. If you want it to be gluten-free, you can either use gluten-free oats or you could substitute that with quinoa flakes. We didn't really have any dried fruit. I had some cranberries, so we added cranberries, but I added in rice puffs, and I added in some coconut flakes, and we also added in cacao because my children prefer it to be a chocolatey one, so that's what we did. And then it adds in some honey to add a bit of sweetness. So there's the nuts chopped up. I wanted the almonds chopped up a little bit smaller, so I did do a little bit again, and I pressed repeat. Oh no, I didn't. I should have pressed repeat, but I'd already gone next, so I've gone back and set that as the step again. So either way you do that, it either has a repeat button at the bottom to repeat it, or you can go back and set it as the current step. So this is the step where I said, if you've got a softer nut and you've got the harder nuts like the almonds, do the almonds on one blitz and then add the next nut in for a second one, so that it doesn't mush it up quite so much, blitz it up. And adding in the oats, so it is all weighing. You can see it weighing there on the screen. And I'm just going to tick that off because I think I was a little bit over. And I'm just adding in an estimate. I didn't really weigh them because they don't weigh the same as seeds and fruit. And then some coconut. So you could mix this up and add kind of whatever you want. You've just got to kind of keep it within the capacity of the bowl. And some cranberries. That was the only dried fruit that I had. So some cranberries went in there. Ticking them off as I go, adding in the honey, and then I think that is all of the ingredients. So it's really, really, really simple. Yeah, so very adaptable. And then I've used this same recipe to make granola cups at the end. So you could also make muesli bars with it. You can make, slice with it, whatever way you want to use that, or as a cereal. You can add it with yogurt. Now you can also make yogurt in the Thermomix as well. It has a fermentation mode, and you can buy little jars from Thermomix or use your own, but they're designed to fit in the Varoma. And you can make your own little jars of yogurt that sit up in top of that Varoma and ferment in there. So because I did the ingredients differently to the recipe, I forgot the cacao, obviously. I did end up doing more of a mix. I think I had to do about 3 times maybe before I was happy with how it had mixed, because those rice puffs are a bit more than seeds. What was I saying? The fermentation mode. So that's another mode that the Thermomix has. Is this the final one? So what the Thermomix does when it's finished, you can see the time stopped there. Is my video stopped as well? No, there we go. It comes up with a little tick at the bottom, and it sings a song to you, so you can hear it. So if you're in another room, you can hear it. Or other people around can hear it, and they can do the next step for you as well. So that's often what happens in our household. Now that's nearly finished. I'm just going to leave that there because you see it go onto the tray in the next recipe. So what you can choose to do, whether you purchase a machine today or not, you can actually host your own demo as well. We could do it this way. This isn't the usual way we do the demonstrations. We usually do them as a live video together with a couple of friends, or because we travel full time, it's a little bit tricky for me to do a demo in person with you. But if you happen to live in the area that we're visiting, and you can keep an eye on that on socials, or just reach out and ask me where we are, and we could do an in-person demo where you actually get to taste the food and see it in live action in front of you on your own kitchen bench. All you need to do is invite a couple of friends to the demonstration to attend, and you can be eligible for host discounts or host gifts for free, depending on what is on offer for the month. So for this, at the time of this recording, these are the host rewards that are on offer, and that has included a free thermoserver bowl that is normally free when you have a guest purchase a Thermomix, but for March it was for having guests attend or purchase as well. And then there were some other really great things on offer for March as well that were discounted. For April, so if you would like to host your own demonstration, it is more than likely going to be in April, unless you want to host one in the next 2 days. Then you can also be eligible for a second TM7 bowl discounted. If you want to know more information about that, I can let you know and how much the discount would be, and we can book you in for a demonstration and get you a discounted second bowl if you don't add it to your purchase this month. So they change all the time, and you can be eligible for those if you host a demonstration. So here is the granola finishing off, going onto the tray to go into the oven. And then I make these granola cups. Now I should have made the seed butter to go with these, but I've already spoken about that in the other demo. Next time I would do that, but it was a recipe I hadn't done before, so I should have tried it a bit differently. I have a little bit of a fail with the chocolate going on the top at the end because it's had coconut underneath and not a nut butter. But we learn, don't we, from making some mistakes. And they should still be yummy and everyone is still going to eat them. So not a complete failure. So the granola recipe, again, the cups, it's all very versatile and adaptable. So if you have different dietary needs or different preferences of ingredients, you can have a play with them. So sometimes what I'll do, usually the first time I make something, I try and follow the recipe and just substitute out certain things that we don't eat or can't eat and just replace them with what I already know we can replace those things with. But like this recipe, so the base, like the thing that holds it together is blitzed up cranberries. You could change that out for dates if you wanted, or it does also suggest cherries in the actual recipe. And so you could make this as a slice, or you can make this as bars quite easily as well. You could skip out the seed butter layer altogether. And I probably should have done that, and the recipe would have worked. It would have come together better at the end. Instead of trying to put chocolate over the top of some loose coconut, that was not working for me. They can be high protein just with the nuts by themselves, or you could add in some protein powders and different things like that to this. Same with the bliss balls as well. In this recipe, I use just a pack of dark chocolate melts. Now, that's just because that was quick and easy for me in this particular moment. But you could make your own raw chocolate, or you could use a alternative cooking chocolate or just chocolate that doesn't have those few added ingredients that my melts would have had. Preferable, I would have just made my own chocolate, but I had to be a little bit mindful of time. So I have made a note here on my little slide notes too. I don't know if you'll be able to see them through my head, but definitely either leave it out or make the paste or butter, either a nut butter or the seed butter, instead of trying to use the coconut that I use. That was a bit of a fail. So I'll just see if this is going to finish. Sorry, I was trying to cut these videos down for you all so it wasn't quite so long sitting here with these in-between steps, but I was running out of time to bring it all together for you, so I wasn't able to do that. I thought I was going to be able to skip through the videos for you too, but apparently I can't when I'm in presentation mode like this. So here we go. Now, if you do use a metal spoon, just be very mindful of your blades. So you'll see after I go through the top layer of it, I do actually switch over to the spatula so I don't damage my blades. And be mindful of scratching your bowl too. Like, it's stainless steel, but you don't want to put scratches in there. So just putting the base, and then these are going to go into the oven. Now, it actually made a much bigger batch than what I had expected as well. Maybe because I used a different type of puff, and because I'd used rice puffs. It's made it a little bit bulkier. So just squashing that all around in there, and then that pops into the oven. And then this video is going to go for a really long time. What else can I talk to you about in that meantime? So yeah, you can see how like it would go together as a slice. You could put it in a slice tray, and then you could just like drizzle chocolate over the top, or you could cut them into bars and cover them in chocolate. Depends on how much chocolate you want to have, right? A drizzle of chocolate I'm sure would be enough because the base is going to be quite tasty. And then they go into the oven, they bake for 10 minutes, and then you bring them out and put your nut butter in there, and then you just melt chocolate and put it over the top. So the chocolate was melted in the Thermomix as well, and in short intervals, so you don't have to worry about burning them. I probably should have done it an extra step longer, and it would have been runnier for me, or added a little bit more butter or coconut oil to it, and it probably would have poured on nicely onto my cups. Yeah, my chocolate pudding on step was not very, what's the word? Not very pretty. We'll just say that. So what I really love about the Thermomix as well is some of the other functions that it does. So you can cook eggs in this machine. So what I love about this particular machine, sorry, I had to put my computer on charge, is it has a few different options. So how I did the boiled eggs in the basket, I know you didn't get to see it in the video because it wouldn't play, but you can also do it just in the bowl. The way that the TM7 works, you can just put the eggs in the bowl and do the egg boiler mode. You can also do open lid cooking. So you'll see us do that. I think I did that a little bit with the bacon in the fried rice, but in the bonus recipe that's coming up with the carbonara pasta, we did some open lid cooking in that as the pasta was cooking. So you can actually stir, you can taste and things like that while it's still cooking, which is something that's never been able to be done before. So at certain speeds and heats, it won't lock the lid in, so you can take it on and off. Okay, so those are finished now. I'm putting on the coconut now. You can see that it's crumbly. Maybe if it hadn't been in the fridge, if I had a bit more time, maybe I could have softened it. It would have been easier. All of these things, right? Hindsight, when you're trying a recipe for the first time, even with the instructions in front of you, but I was trying to substitute something, right? So substitutions don't always work out, but it's always a surprise as to whether it does or not. Yeah, but anyway, so all the different cooking modes, I'm going to show you a picture of that in a moment, but I thought I'd just start talking about them now while this video finishes. So it has got the chocolate in the Thermomix melting. You can see the green light flashing on the bottom there, on the jug. So that's telling you that it's on. Once that turns red, it also tells you that it's hot. So at this point, it hasn't actually gotten hot, but it will turn red when it gets hot. So it's got lots of these different features as well. And that light, like I said, is so important because you can't hear the blades going compared to the other models. So the Thermomix comes with the spatula, the base, comes with a whisk. It goes inside, a butterfly whisk that goes inside. I haven't used that in any of these recipes. With the jug, the steamer basket inside, which you can do vegetables in, you can do eggs in, you can do rice in. There's lots of different recipes that use that one in different ways. And then it comes with the Varoma, like the bowl bit, and then the tray that goes in top as well as the lid. So they're the different parts that come with it, and the blade obviously that goes inside. And one thing you'll notice it's different about, well, I had a TM6. I didn't have the previous models before that, but we don't have the locking arms to hold the lid on when it's heating. It does it differently. So we don't have that big bulky outside. And we also don't have the need to put something on top when we're cooking in it. So in the previous models, we had to either put the steam basket up on top. So that's creating more dishes. Or the TM6 had like a little lid, steamer lid thing that went on top that locked in as well. So we don't have those extra pieces anymore, which is really cool. There we go. I've missed putting the chocolate one on. So I will pop through a finished photo for you because apparently I've missed a video when I've compiled them all together. So we just waited for nothing. But yeah, I melted the chocolate in there. It tells you to just do, so it has an initial melting and then it'll do 1 minute intervals, and you just do it to the consistency that you want. Multiple appliances in one. So this is one of the big things about it. So you've got scales, it pre-cleans itself, it chops, it blends. It's a rice cooker. You can heat up in it. It's a slow cooker as well. You can sous vide in it. I've never sous vide in it though, but you definitely can. It does different sugar stages. You've got open cooking, steaming. You can fully manual mode it. Dough, so doing bread dough, pizza dough, Play-Doh, pasta dough, pastry, all of those sorts of things are really easy to do in the Thermomix. I haven't done puff pastry though because you got to fold in that butter cold, and that's just too much for me. It's too much effort. There's a turbo mode, kettle, thicken. So bechamel sauce, your white sauce, your cheese sauce. I love doing that in the Thermomix because I don't have to stand there constantly stirring it so it doesn't stick to the bottom, if you're cooking a lasagna or something like that. Fermentation mode, egg boiler, grating and peeling. These do need these steps here, the sensor, spiralizer, slicing, grating, and a peeler. They do need we can grate in it, but it doesn't end up like a grater. It just ends up in small pieces, which is, I like that. I'm fine with that. But if you want the peeled look, you do need the extra part that goes on top. So it was in the host gifts actually. Here, this one here, it's called the cutter. And it has, it does spiralizing, it does grating, it does slicing. So you just put it through and it slices it into the bowl. And then you have a sensor that you can add as well, which is a thermometer. So if you do like sugar work, marshmallows, yogurt, you can use it in the oven for meat and things like that as well. It's a digital sensor and it connects with the Thermomix and your phone through Cookie Do as well. And then you have the high temperature cooking. I think that's from the Bliss Balls. I've forgotten to change that one, so we'll just ignore that. So this is our final bonus recipe that I wanted to share with you because we're looking at doing things with ease. The specificity that I was given was like rice and pasta dishes as well. So I decided to share this one too because it shows a few different things. We're grating in this one as well, so we're doing the cheese. You just have to cut it up into like rough cubes. This is actually the recipe that my 12-year-old son did for me. So that's him grating the cheese there now. And he's just chopped it up into little cubes and then he's popped it in. This recipe is all in one. So the pasta actually cooks while the sauce is cooking as well. There's his cheese. Now, the recipe was actually supposed to be Parmesan cheese. So our final result ended up a little bit oilier than what it normally would. But everyone actually preferred the normal cheese compared to the Parmesan cheese, other than me. I liked the Parmesan cheese. Now, the shallots, he's chopped them up quite small. You can just chop them up roughly, and the Thermomix is going to do it for you. He just forgot. You can roughly chop up the bacon and pop it in, and then it's going to blitz it up for you. So we also do the little like browning or sautéing with this one at the start too. I did think I cut out most of putting that bacon in, but anyway, so it is weighing it as he goes, and then the green is sliding across and ticking it off for him. We did decide to put the rest of that bacon in anyway though, because there was quite a few of us eating it. So we did add extra bacon, and it doesn't add any extra cooking time. Sometimes if you add extra ingredients, you do have to add some extra cooking time, but then other times you don't have to. Also, some of the recipes on the TM7 have got portion amounts that you can choose. So some will have like 2, 4, 6, and you just click on 6 and it's going to automatically change it for you, which is really cool. So I think this was one of those recipes, or the fried rice was one of those recipes. And I clicked, it was on 4 normally, and I put it onto 6, and it's changed all of the ingredients amounts for us. And I think it was the rice. And there was enough for us. This one is a 4, and it's just enough for everyone. Yeah, if I'm not doing it as a recording for a demo, I do normally put like extra pasta and stuff in, but I just didn't want to have any more mistakes for the demo. You can substitute the pasta that's used in this one for gluten-free. I do want to give a word of advice with gluten-free pasta in the Thermomix though. It does go gluggy really easily, so you have to watch your cook times and stir it properly so you know what's happening underneath, not just on top. It can turn into a gluggy mess very quickly because the gluten-free pastas end up a lot more starchy than non-gluten-free pasta. One particular brand that a lot of people have success with is the I don't know how to pronounce it, Barilla pasta, and you can try that one. But in particular, no legume sort of pastas. Some of the more rice-based pastas can be tricky to do in there as well. Again, a little bit of trial and error for that. But yeah, that Barilla pasta tends to cook similar to normal pasta. So what you do with this one, you could substitute. So we're putting cream in there now. If you wanted to make this to be dairy-free, you could substitute that with, no, that was water. You could substitute it with some coconut cream. The cheese, you could substitute, because it's meant to be Parmesan, you could substitute with nutritional yeast as well for the flavor. Or you could even just leave that out. It's actually not going to make or break this recipe itself. You just may find if you do coconut cream, just watch your cook time, may not need to be quite the same because you may, just watch you don't separate the coconut cream into oil. So popping the pasta in, he's just weighing that in. I'm not sure if he got it. He might have gone a little bit over, so it's not going to automatically do it for him. But if you get close enough, it does mark it off for you. You also see when we're weighing, there's a tear button at the bottom as well. So you can click that to tear it. You'll see that my son presses it a lot here because the bus, everyone's moving around in the bus, the weight goes up and down a lot. So he likes to try and get it to sit on 0. It doesn't always work though. So then that is just cooking the pasta and everything all in together. You can add vegetables into this if you want as well. So you would do that at the same time you add the pasta. So it's going to be cooking while you add the pasta. Depending on how much you add as to whether you would need to add a little bit more liquid, you'd have to have a play with that. Or you could add in like steamed veggies at the end as well. So you could do steamed veggies and then add it in either separately on the side or into the pasta, depending on what way you want to go there. And this has a final step. So we're going to be using that thermoserver bowl again. So it's just checking. So this is a bit of the open lid cooking sometimes as well. This one might not be. This might just be the end. But we're just checking to see if it needs any extra cooking time. So with this pasta recipe, it tells you just to use the cooking instructions from the pasta packet. So it brings it up as manual mode then, and you put in your cook time. I think it already has the temperature set, but just the cook time is what you set, and then it sets the rest. So part manual because of the cook time, depending on your pasta type and size and things like that as to what you're going to get. So adding in some peas and corn to this one. Peas and corn are easy to add in without needing to add anything extra. Just if you go and do a lot of other veggies, it may alter your cook time and your liquid consistency that's needed. So the thermoserver has been really, really great. The other day we decided we wanted to go, because we're in WA, we wanted to go and have a dinner down the beach. We hadn't done it for a while because where we are right now, it's usually super windy in the afternoon and you just don't usually do the beach in the afternoon. But we had a beautiful still day that we hadn't had for ages in the afternoon. So we decided to do dinner on the beach with the sunset. And so my husband pre-cooked some nacho mince and cut up all the bits of salad and stuff to go with it. And we grabbed some corn chips on the way to the beach, and the meat just stayed in the thermoserver bowl, stayed nice and warm, ready to eat when we got there after a swim. So we went and had a swim, let the dogs have a play, and then we sat down and had sunset nachos, and they weren't cold. We didn't have to reheat them. It was all ready to go and serve up. So we could have used the Thermomix to grate the cheese. We could have also used, because we've got the cutter, we could have used the cutter to slice up the lettuce, and I don't know if it'll work for tomatoes. I think it would just blitz that too much. We could have made, and we do often make in the Thermomix, a guacamole as well. And if we had have had time, it wasn't a spontaneous thing, we could have even made our own tortillas, or we could have made our own corn chips using some polenta or popcorn grated up, ground up. So they're the sorts of things that you can do in the Thermomix. You can make so many different things from scratch that would be a lot of manual labor work or really hard and take a really long time if you were to do that by hand. Okay, I think we need one more cook on that one. I really thought I sped this up a little bit more, but when we're sitting here, we haven't. I'm actually just going to pause the recording. I'll come back when it's nearly finished. Okay, so that looks like it is all done now. I think he did overcook the pasta a little bit, this one. It probably could have been fine the one before, but it still tasted fine. The pasta was just chopped up a little bit more. And then adding in the cheese, because with this recipe, what it would have been is when you put the egg in, it cooks for another minute or so, maybe 2 minutes. So yeah, it probably needed a little bit less of the cooking time before that step is what it would have been. But these are things that he's learning too. So he is learning these different things about cooking, right? That if he cooks the pasta too long, it turns mushy. And we've learnt that a few times. We had a failed risotto the other night and a failed pasta. Kind of my fault because I didn't tell him to check underneath before, like he was only looking on top. He didn't check what was in underneath and going on. I tried to cook a whole packet of fettuccine pasta in the TM6, it was, where you put it through the hole of the lid. And he thought it wasn't cooked on top, but what it had, because I'd put too much in there, it just hadn't like mixed through and cooked the top layer, but it mashed the bottom layer. So that was a fail. And then I cooked a risotto that had pumpkin in it. and I just misread the recipe, and I thought the pumpkin cooked further once it went in with the risotto, but it didn't. It was meant to already be cooked. So then by the time I tried to get the pumpkin to cook in the rice, the risotto ended up a gluggy mess too. But anyway, we live and we learn. I won't do that again. So that is the carbonara pasta finished, ready for lunch. I think it cooked about 20 minutes or something like that, including the cook time for the bacon. So that was the day we went, oh my God, we don't have anything for lunch. What are we doing? And so that's what we pulled out. And my 12-year-old was able to do that for me. So that's what I love about the Thermomix. And then the thermoserver bowl fits a decent amount. It's 2.7 litres, so it fits so much in it. It's a host-only gift. So if you would like to host your own demonstration, you can get this one discounted for people attending, or free for someone purchasing at your demonstration as well. And so that's the recipe there. All the ingredients list and then preparation. So it tells you the steps so you can kind of pre-plan, or is this what I have time for right now? Is this too complicated? I'll choose a different one. All those sorts of things. It also gives you the nutrition information there too. So if you're watching carbs, proteins, things like that, that's all on there as well. And then it also gives you some suggested recipes based on that recipe. Also shows you what collections. So Thermomix on the cookie dough have got pre-built-in collections. So it'll also show you what collection it shows in. So you can find other recipes that might be of interest as well. And that's it. So that bowl will go on and get cleaned now. So you can actually drag that down from the top, which is what I'm showing my son here. And then you choose which one you want to do, and he knows how to do that as well. And off it goes, cleaning while we serve that up, ready to eat. Love that part of it so much. Here he is serving it up. And because it's got normal cheese, it is a little bit like kind of stringy. All right, that is the end of the demonstration for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time and watching and attending this demonstration. And if you would like to know more about getting the Thermomix on your bench to save you time and money and creating more ease in the kitchen, in particular for this theme today of snacks. But if you want other ways of other ideas, we can hold a demonstration for yourself, and we can do a different theme. Maybe we could do some 15-minute dinners or something like that, or whatever. There's different things that we can do. We can even look at like a dough, a main meal, and like a dessert or something like that. So there's different things that we can do in demonstrations. It's not just all the same. And if you would like to know more about getting the Thermomix into your home and those different payment options, including the earning one for free, if you would like to try and earn one for free, or even if you're interested in starting as a business for yourself, please let me know. If you would like to book a demonstration of your own and share it with your friends and family, or if you would just like to have a little bit of a chat about what is the right way for you to go. There's never any pressure. I'm always only here to help you. So I hope you have enjoyed all of the different learning about the machine and the different recipes that you can use, and really help to avoid those additives in your house and to bring in some healthier options that are easy and quick as well. So these were all really quick recipes that I've just shown you. What did we show you? 5. And those videos that didn't finish, I will send through as well. I think that was 5 videos. So again, my name is Danielle Tansey, and thank you so much for watching. And I'll be in touch just to see where you're at and what I can help you with.